The staple of ordinary people's diets in North Korea is rice, but it does not always reach every resident's plate. It is often replaced by corn or sorghum. Corn porridge, colloquially called mush, is the most common dish in the provinces, served every day to children and adults without an alternative. Cabbage and potato soup can be watery and meager, often served without meat, simply to keep people warm on cold days and fill stomachs. Kimchi, fermented cabbage, appears in almost every home and becomes a basic condiment, giving flavor where other ingredients are lacking. Dried herbs and dry grass serve as seasonings and aromatics for soups because the lack of spices forces constant improvisation of flavors at household pots. Soup made from pumpkin or radish leaves is a low-calorie dish and a frequent meal component that provides more water than nutritional value. Fish dried in the sun occasionally reach tables, especially by the sea, and are then treated as a luxurious source of protein for the family. In some regions, insects are used as an emergency source of protein, gathered and sun-dried by hand when traditional products are not available. A common scenario is that people eat only one meal a day, especially in villages where ration cards and supplies do not guarantee abundance. The elites have access to the best meats, beef, pork, and poultry specially brought from abroad for lavish banquets and receptions. Seafood such as lobsters, crabs, and shrimp appear at royal feasts in Pyongyang but do not reach ordinary tables. Caviar imported from Russia and Iran is sometimes served to the elites, and its symbolic presence underscores the contrast between social strata. Exotic fruits, mangoes, bananas, and kiwis are flown into the tables of the highborn, whose daily diet does not resemble that of the rest of the country. Imported spirits and cognacs, French wines, and expensive whiskeys grace private banquets, while people reach for simpler drinks. Chocolate desserts from abroad and European sweets appear in hotels for privileged guests visiting the capital. In the luxury hotels of the capital, cream cakes and delicacies are served, a true paradise for those who have access to imported flour and sugar. Italian and French cuisine dishes are reserved for a narrow circle, including the leader and his retinue, and this rarity is a spectacle of extravagance. Pizza from ovens imported from Italy is sometimes served to the chosen, and its presence highlights the distance between the leader's table and the people's plates. European cheeses, Camembert and Parmesan, reach the tables of the most important people, while provincial residents do not know their taste. Meat for ordinary people may appear only once a month, which makes meat a luxury and animal protein a rarity in the daily diet. Eggs can be hard to obtain and expensive, so in many households they are a scarce commodity exceeding the weekly budget. The lack of vegetable oil in many homes forces cooking without fat, which affects the dish's caloric content and the family's health condition. Milk practically does not reach children outside Pyongyang, causing a lack of basic building nutrition for the youngest in many families. Fruits like apples and pears are a luxury in the countryside, and their appearance at home is a reason to celebrate and share a rare taste. In many places, sugar is replaced by corn syrup, which degrades the taste of homemade desserts and reduces the nutritional value of baked goods. Fish, even though Korea has access to the sea, are practically unavailable to ordinary people because transport and distribution prioritize supplying elite tables. Salt can be scarce in crises. Residents conserve spices and lose the ability to preserve meat and vegetables, which increases food losses. Bread is a rarity. Most people know only corn cakes baked in the countryside and treated as a bread substitute in the daily diet. Coffee and tea remain a luxury for the few, available in shops only to the privileged or via special ration cards. In times of crisis, people turn to roots of grasses and tree leaves, which they cook as improvised food to maintain energy during the worst periods. A popular weed soup becomes a salvation to have a warm meal in a bowl, even when other sources of calories and fresh produce are lacking. Faced with extreme hunger, people catch rats and dogs to obtain meat for the winter, doing so in silence and shame to survive the coming months. Corn stalks are dried and milled into flour to extend supplies and prepare cakes that replace bread during long periods of shortage. Corn dough, a hard mass made from corn, becomes everyday food. though it lacks real taste and vitamins. Potato peels are cooked as a full meal because nothing may be wasted, and every bite is valuable for the family. Children eat chestnuts and nuts from the forest as seasonal snacks and dietary supplements, though they are unreliable and weather-dependent. In Pyongyang, shops for the elites are stocked with imported products and luxuries, painfully contrasting with the empty shelves of a single agglomeration. In those same cities for ordinary people, the shelves often stand empty, and access to food depends on affiliation, rations, and connections. In the provinces, shops are often closed due to lack of goods. Residents rely on their own crops, reserves, and neighborly exchange. In cities, the elite have access to cafes with pastries and ice cream, which for the average citizen remain an image of unattainable luxury. In the countryside, children know the taste of sweets only from propaganda posters, and real sugar becomes a rare, coveted taste experience. In the provinces, people often go hungry, and the only simple luxury that remains is fermented cabbage, a simple source of flavor, vitamins, and hope. The gap between the elite and the people is wider than in the Middle Ages because access to imports and privileges fences social layers off with a thick barrier.